If you're serious about content in 2026 and beyond, you need to invest in a filming setup that lets you walk in, hit record, and walk out professional looking content every single time. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a budget studio from scratch. I'll cover everything from choosing where to set up a mini studio, the lighting, camera choices, audio, teleprompters, even down to what editing software you need. This is the exact setup I'd build if I was starting again today, and it's also the setup I personally suggest for all my clients that collectively produce thousands of videos every year. Now, I've helped build full-scale studios for brokers that were able to spend $50,000 and beyond, down to new brokers that were able to build quality budget studios with less than $1,000. So I've tested pretty much every piece of gear you could think of at all price ranges, meaning I know what works, what's a waste of money, and what's actually gonna make your content look professional. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete shopping list and setup guide to build your own home or office filming setup in less than 7 days. All right, the first thing you need is to find a spot in your office or house where you can set this up. Now, ideally, you want a room with low natural light or no windows at all. And if there are windows, you want blackout curtains over them so you can control the light completely. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I want a dark room? Don't I want natural light? And look, natural light can look beautiful, but here's the problem. Natural light changes obviously depending on the time of day and the weather. So if you film at 9 AM on a sunny day, it's gonna look completely different to filming at 5 PM on a dark rainy day, which means every time you go to film, you're gonna have to adjust your lighting setup, reposition things, and mess around for 20 minutes before you can even start. And obviously as a broker, you don't have time to be doing these small trivial tasks every time you wanna film. It's just added friction you don't need when you're already struggling to keep up with making content. That's why I suggest a dark room where you can control the light yourself. You walk in, turn the lights on, film your content, turn them off, and leave. It's plug and play and it looks the same every single time. For example, right now it's 7:30 PM on a Saturday night and I haven't had to adjust a single thing all day from my previous shoots because the room's pitch black and has no windows, meaning it doesn't matter what time of day it is, no natural sun can affect the lighting of my videos. So just to make it very clear, let's say you decide to film at nighttime and you need all your lighting around you to be on maximum brightness to light you up. And then you come in the next morning to film again, but now obviously the sun's beaming into your room. So you need to adjust the lights down, move things around, change your softboxes out, etc. So find a spot in your house or office where you can black out the windows or where there's minimal natural light coming in and make sure it's obviously in a place that's going to be quiet and you're not going to be interrupted frequently. All right, now that you've found your spot, let's talk about actual lighting gear you'll need because this is genuinely one of the most important parts of your setup. You can have the most expensive camera gear in the world, but if your lighting's bad, your content is going to come out looking like trash. So the first thing you need is your main light, which is also called your key light. This is the primary light source that's going to light up your face. So some good options here are the MS150C by Neewer or the Aputure Amaran 150C if you prefer something with a little more quality. Now you're also going to want a softbox for your key light, which is basically a big square or circle diffuser on the front that spreads out the light evenly and makes it look super flattering. Now I personally use a honeycomb grid on my softbox and I set the Kelvin level to around 5500, which is pretty close to the Kelvin level of the sun. So you always want your light to look as natural as possible. You also want to position the key light about 45 degrees from the side of your face and about 45 degrees above eye level, pointing down at you. That just creates a nice natural looking light that's not too flat and not too dramatic. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you can add a side light or a backlight to create some separation between you and the background. This just makes the whole setup look a little bit more three-dimensional and professional. And for your background, you can throw some tube lights, a lantern, or an LED sign with your business name or logo on it. So for tube lights, again, Neewer's TL90Cs are a pretty good option, and the Godox TL120s are also pretty solid. But if you're just starting out and you're on a budget, honestly, one good softbox is all you need. You can always add more lights later as you get more comfortable. All right, next is your camera, and I want to give you the good news straight away. Yes, you can use your iPhone camera. Apple has somehow gotten to the point where the iPhones can genuinely produce some amazing quality videos. Now, there are a few settings you want to make sure you have switched on for the best quality, but I'm not going to cover it here because there's tons of free videos on YouTube that break down exactly what settings work best for iPhone. Now, if you want to invest in a proper camera setup for the long term, there are a few good options that are really popular right now. You've got cameras like the Sony A7 series, the Sony FX30, or the Canon EOS R6 Mark II, which are pretty solid options. We personally shoot on 2 separate Canon C70s, but you definitely don't need to buy something like this unless you want to go above and beyond in your content. You also need a lens for the camera as well. So a good option here is something like the Sigma 24-70mm lens, which is what we personally shoot on as well. And then you'll need a tripod and an SD card, which is pretty straightforward. But again, if you're just starting out, sticking with your iPhone is 100% okay. They produce insane quality nowadays, and most people watching them on their phones won't even notice the difference. Okay, next is your audio. And look, people forgive you for bad video quality, but they definitely won't forgive you for bad audio quality. If your audio is echoey, or there's background noise, or it's just hard to hear you, people are going to scroll immediately. Because why would they put it with crappy audio when there's a video with crystal clear audio just one scroll away? So you need to invest in a decent microphone, and there's a few options depending on your budget and how crisp you want your audio to be. The easiest option is something like the Rode Wireless Go 2 or the DJI Mini. These are little wireless lavalier mics that clip onto your shirt and they're super easy to use. You just clip it on, hit record, and you're done. You'll end up with some pretty decent audio quality for only a few $100. Now, if you want your audio to be insanely crispy, like podcast level quality, you can step up to something like the Shure SM7B, which is one of the most popular microphones in the world right now. But if you decide to go that route, you'll also need an audio interface like the Rodecaster Pro 2 to actually use it, because the Shure SM7B needs phantom power. This setup is quite a bit more expensive, but if you want top of the line audio, this is as good as it gets. The Shure SM7B will probably set you back about $1,000 for the mic itself and the PSA boom stand. And then the Rodecaster Pro 2 will also cost about $900 to $1,000 after you get all the cables and the headphones to use it. So we use all three of these audio options depending on what we're shooting. If we're doing quick organic content, we'll use a small wireless mic. But if we're doing a proper YouTube video or a client shoot, then we'll use the Shure SM7B with the Rodecaster Pro 2. But again, if you're just starting out, the Rode Wireless Go 2 is a steal for the money you're paying. Okay, the next thing I want to cover is your scripting, because this is something a lot of brokers struggle with. Now, you've got a few options here. You can either use a teleprompter and read a full script word for word, which is what we do for most of our clients. You can use a line-by-line script on your phone and then glance at it between takes. Or if you prefer, you can just have dot points and improvise as you go. Now, I typically don't recommend the last option because you need to be really careful not to ramble. Most brokers obviously know so much about the topic they're discussing, and they feel like they need to cover every single little detail. So they end up going on loads of different side tangents that completely lose their viewer. This is why we use a script. It keeps us concise, keeps us on track, and it makes sure we're delivering value without wasting any time. So my recommendation is, especially when you're starting out, write a script. Now, you don't have to follow it word for word, but at least have a clear structure and points written down so you're not just winging it and hoping for the best. And you can always loosen up and improvise more once you get more comfortable on camera. But in the beginning, a script is going to save you a ton of time and make your content way tighter. All right, the last thing is editing. And look, editing can seem really overwhelming if you've never done it before, but it's honestly not that complicated once you know the basics. The 3 main editing softwares that I'd recommend are CapCut, Premiere Pro, or Final Cut Pro. All of these are great options and you can normally get pretty good at them after only a few weeks of practice. So the editing process we use for every single video is we start by trimming all the clips first, which basically means you're cutting out all the mistakes, so the pauses, the ums, the ahs, the stutters, all of it. Then we add our captions, which is super important because most people watch videos with the sound off, especially on short form. So if you don't have captions, you're losing a massive chunk of your audience. And then finally, add your zooms and little visual elements to keep it engaging. Now, you don't need to go crazy here, just a few subtle zooms when you're making an important point to keep people's attention. Then you just want to export it and that's it, you're done. But I will say this, once you start running over 25 million a year, I'd seriously recommend outsourcing your editing because it takes an absolute crap load of time. To give you a rough idea, a month's worth of content from start to finish will probably take you about 35 plus hours, depending on how many videos you're making. And at that point, your time's better spent writing loans and working with clients, not sitting in front of an editing program for hours on end. So if you just want to make the content and film it yourself, but have someone handle that last time-consuming bit for you, then that's 100% an option. And just a little plug, we offer a really cost-effective package that covers just editing for you. So there you have it. That's how you build your own budget studio to dominate content in 2026 and beyond. Find a spot with low natural light or blackout curtains so you control the lighting. Grab a softbox for your main key light and throw in some background lights if you want to get fancy. Use your iPhone or invest in a proper camera if you're ready for that. Get a decent mic like the Rode Wireless Go 2 or the DJI Mini. Write a script so you don't ramble, and then choose an editing software to bring everything together. For that whole setup, you're looking at under $1,000 Australian, assuming you already have an iPhone, which is pretty good value for money considering how much it will improve the quality of your videos. And if you decide to go a bit higher end with a proper camera, you're looking at around $2,000 to $4,000 for the whole setup. And the beautiful thing about having this setup is that you can literally make anything with it. You can make organic content for Instagram and TikTok. You can make ads. You can make mini lead magnets. You can make VSLs, whatever you want. Once you've got the mini studio dialed in, it's just a matter of showing up and filming. Now, if you need help setting this up or you just want someone to do it for you, there's a link in the description to book in a time to chat directly with me. And if you found this valuable and you want more content like this every week, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. I've got a video on how to structure your videos to maximize retention and another one that covers the 6 laws of content marketing for mortgage brokers. So I'll make sure I pop these up just here for you. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.